Seong Gi-hun has decided not to go to the United States. Upon returning to Seoul, he is determined to find the masterminds behind the scenes. Hwang Jun-ho was rescued by a kind fisherman during a crisis. After resting for a while, he decided to become a traffic policeman, issuing mundane tickets daily. His supervisor always advises him not to be impulsive and to return to the criminal investigation team instead. Efforts were made to locate the mysterious island Hwang Jun-ho had mentioned using the Coast Guard, but nothing was found. Due to signal issues, the photos Hwang Jun-ho sent initially were not received. Although the supervisor trusts Hwang Jun-ho and believes in the existence of the murderous game, he has no evidence, and his superiors won't authorize an investigation. However, Hwang Jun-ho vividly remembers everything that happened on the mysterious island. The gunshot wound on his shoulder constantly reminds him he must find his brother and return to that island. Therefore, he visits the fisherman every weekend, asking him to take him to the nearby waters in search of the island. They searched repeatedly, combing through nearby small islands, but the mysterious island remained elusive. Just as Hwang Jun-ho was about to give up, a new development occurred. One day, Hwang Jun-ho took a new traffic policeman to issue tickets. The newbie noticed that the car was full of tablets and phones. After issuing the ticket, the driver hurriedly drove away. Curious, Hwang Jun-ho checked the driver's license and discovered it was Seong Gi-hun. At that moment, Seong Gi-hun was chasing someone, the man who once played a rapper game with him in the subway. To find the mastermind behind the Squid Game, Seong Gi-hun had spent all his substantial prize money over the past 3 years. He hired a group of loan sharks to stake out every subway station in Seoul. They were instructed to alert Seong Gi-hun immediately if they spotted a man in a suit with a briefcase, especially if he was playing a drawing game. After 3 years of waiting, the loan shark boss and his subordinate, Mr. Choi, found the man. They quickly called Seong Gi-hun and followed the man discreetly to prevent him from escaping. They saw the man buy lots of bread and scratch cards and followed him to a park filled with homeless people. He offered the homeless the choice between bread and scratch cards. Despite their hunger, most chose the scratch cards. The man then crushed the bread underfoot, mocking the homeless for their choices. The man's crazy actions frightened both the loan shark boss and Mr. Choi, but they continued to follow him into an alley. Unexpectedly, they were discovered and knocked unconscious by the man. When they woke up, they found themselves tied to chairs. The man forced them to play a game of rock, paper, scissors, where each round required them to retract one hand until only one hand was left to decide the winner. The loser had to play Russian roulette by loading a bullet into a revolver. The chance of death was 1 in 6. Both were terrified and played the game with trembling hands, yet no winner was determined after several rounds. The man then loaded 5 bullets into the revolver, and in the final round, Mr. Choi was guaranteed to lose with double rock. The loan shark boss deliberately did not retract a hand, breaking the rules and getting eliminated. Meanwhile, Hwang Jun-ho, by tracking Seong Gi-hun's car, found the motel where Seong Gi-hun was staying and hurriedly drove there. At this time, Seong Gi-hun, unable to contact Mr. Choi and others, returned home and found the man had been waiting for him for a long time. Seong Gi-hun angrily demanded to know who the mastermind was and why they were treated like dogs. The man did not directly answer Seong Gi-hun's questions, but started to share his own experience. He was originally one of the game's workers in red, silently cleaning up bodies until his superiors gave him a gun to eliminate other participants. To balance his psyche, he viewed all participants as trash, and Seong Gi-hun was just slightly luckier trash. He just wanted Seong Gi-hun to play a game with him. If Gi-hun won, he would get the contact information for the person behind the game. This time, the game was Russian roulette again, but with a twist. After each shot, the chamber would not be spun, which meant the probability of death would increase with each turn. Seong Gi-hun was not afraid of the crazed man. They played several rounds without determining a winner until only 2 shots remained. The man mocked Seong Gi-hun, suggesting he shoot himself if he feared death, but only if Seong Gi-hun admitted he was just trash. Unfazed, Seong Gi-hun reached the round where the man was sure to die. To avoid breaking the rules and being called a lackey of the game's mastermind, the man was eliminated. Hwang Jun-ho arrived at the motel and first found Mr. Choi, who had been brought there and tied to a bed by the man. He inquired about Seong Gi-hun's whereabouts. Mr. Choi informed him truthfully. Hwang Jun-ho found the room where Seong Gi-hun was. He initially intended to arrest Seong Gi-hun on suspicion of murder. Fortunately, Mr. Choi appeared in time to subdue Hwang Jun-ho and introduced himself. In recent days, he had been helping Seong Gi-hun find the man along with the boss. Seong Gi-hun spared Mr. Choi and turned to interrogate the restrained Hwang Jun-ho. Jun-ho explained that he was a police officer who had infiltrated the game's workers in red to find his brother. He had once asked Seong Gi-hun, a participant, if he had seen a man named Hwang In-ho. Seong Gi-hun recalled indeed hearing that name and lowered his gun. He explained to Hwang Jun-ho that the dead man was specifically recruited to enroll players and that his death was due to losing the game. Seong Gi-hun took out a card he found on the man, an invitation to a club, and planned to visit the club himself. Hwang Jun-ho proposed joining his team. Seeing his determination, Seong Gi-hun took him to his secret base, where he kept the money he had won from the game. He offered Hwang Jun-ho and Mr. Choi as much money as they wanted if they joined him. Then they entered a bathroom filled with various weapons. Seong Gi-hun pulled aside the shower curtain and walked through a secret passage leading to another house. This place was where Seong Gi-hun usually practiced shooting. Next, Seong Gi-hun found a dentist to implant a fake tooth with a locator in it. Everything was ready. By October 31st, Seong Gi-hun successfully entered the club, while Hwang Jun-ho stayed at the entrance to monitor the situation. He noticed people in red entering the club. Hwang Jun-ho immediately rushed in to search. However, Seong Gi-hun had already been taken to the back alley and left in a white luxury car. To handle this unexpected situation, Seong Gi-hun had Mr. Choi gather some skilled associates. At that moment, Hwang Jun-ho instructed his men to follow the white car. Inside the car, Seong Gi-hun conversed with a masked mysterious person through a speaker. Seong Gi-hun demanded the mysterious person stop the game. The mysterious person found this amusing. Although they created the game, participation was voluntary. Just then, Seong Gi-hun heard through his earpiece that his followers' tires had been shot out by a sniper, preventing further tracking. Hwang Jun-ho also came under attack and had to stop the pursuit. With no other options, Seong Gi-hun offered to participate in the game again, thinking the wealthy spectators would find it entertaining. The mysterious person agreed. Then, a burst of smoke was released inside the car, and Seong Gi-hun passed out. When he woke up, he was back in the familiar game setting, dressed in a green tracksuit. The people in red entered the dormitory and introduced the following to all participants. Over the next 6 days, there will be 6 different games. Those who complete all games will receive a huge cash prize. Among the participants was Lee Myung-gi, who had suffered huge losses due to a failed investment, and his pregnant girlfriend, both of whom had signed up without the other's knowledge. Other participants were also in debt and had joined the game to pay off their debts. The one with the highest debt owed up to 10 billion. As soon as the people in red finished speaking, a piggy bank in the shape of a pig's head descended from the ceiling. With each game completed, a certain amount of prize money would accumulate in the piggy bank, reaching a total of 45.6 billion. This time, the game had a modification. After each game, participants could vote to decide whether to continue the game or end it. If the majority chose to end it, all participants could split the prize money and leave the game venue. After the rules were explained, those willing to participate signed the consent forms. Next was the photo-taking session. Seong Gi-hun was surprised to meet a fellow townsman here and kindly advised him to stay close behind him from now on. After the photos, participants were led to the site of the first game, the familiar red light, green light. A large doll appeared opposite them. Seong Gi-hun felt something was amiss. He removed his fake tooth and discovered that the locator was gone. At that moment, Hwang Jun-ho and Mr. Choi, guided by the locator, arrived at a small island and found the locator in a fisherman's bucket. Seong Gi-hun realized that Hwang Jun-ho could not come to rescue him. He had to rely on his own strength to save the other participants. He walked to the front of the crowd and loudly told everyone that this was not an ordinary game. If detected moving, one would immediately lose their life. However, people thought this was just part of the game and ignored Seong Gi-hun's warning. Some believed he was drunk and rambling. Others suspected he was trying to scare everyone to monopolize the prize money. When the preparation time ended, the doll turned around and the game officially began. At that moment, the mysterious person, who was Hwang Junho's brother, removed his mask and watched the game while drinking. Seong Gi-hun again reminded everyone not to move. When the doll turned around, its eye detectors did not pick up any movement, and the game continued. Under Seong Gi-hun's direction, everyone moved orderly toward the finish line. Unexpectedly, a bee landed on a woman's neck, frightening her into jumping. The next second, she was eliminated, and her number turned black. Seeing someone actually die from failing shocked the other participants, who began screaming and trying to flee amid the screams and gunshots. The rest dared not move, and the scene gradually quieted down. The game was still ongoing. Seong Gi-hun reminded everyone that if they did not reach the finish line by the end of the countdown, they would also be eliminated. He suggested everyone line up with shorter people at the back and move forward together. Among the shooters in red was a sniper named Kang Se-byok. She was a defector, whose life goal was to find her child. During her search, she worked in an amusement park where she met Ah-seok, who joined the game to raise money for his daughter's cancer treatment. Through her sniper scope, Kang Se-byok noticed him. The game continued, and a hyperactive rapper emerged among the group. He deliberately pushed people ahead of him, causing them to be eliminated. After several rounds, as they neared the finish line, Seong Gi-hun urged everyone to speed up and cross the finish line, ending the day's game. Kang Se-byok, after completing her sniping task, packed up her rifle and left shooting room number 11, queuing to leave with the other shooters. Participants returned to the dormitory, all looking drained and lacking the energy they had when they first arrived. The people in red announced that of the original 456 participants, 91 had been eliminated, leaving 365 remaining. Based on the number of eliminations, 9.1 billion Korean won was added to the piggy bank. If they chose to leave the game now, this 9.1 billion would be divided among the 365 participants, giving each less than 25 million won. Except for Seong Gi-hun, all other participants had debts, and this amount was insufficient to pay off their debts. The choice between preserving their lives by leaving the game or risking continued participation posed a dilemma for them. Next, everyone began to vote on whether to abandon the game. Seeing the vote count was very close, Seong Gi-hun stood up and told everyone that he was the previous winner and that no one else had survived. Rather than realizing the dangers of the game, this statement boosted their confidence, making them believe that with Seong Gi-hun, they could win more prize money. Seong Gi-hun's attempt to persuade was not very effective. When it came down to the last vote, the count was tied. Number 1 stepped forward and pressed the button to continue the game. Those who wanted to end the game looked disappointed, and number 1 was none other than Hwang Junho's brother, Hwang In-ho. At dinner time, Hwang In-ho sought out Seong Gi-hun for a chat. He praised Seong Gi-hun highly, stating that it was because of him that he chose to continue the game. He also inquired about the content of the next game. Seong Gi-hun revealed that the second challenge involved extracting a carved shape from a sugar cookie, with the triangle being the easiest and the umbrella the hardest. Sitting next to him, Hwang In-ho expressed curiosity about why Seong Gi-hun would participate in the game again, asking if he had spent all his winnings. Seong Gi-hun denied this, emphasizing that the money was the other participant's lifeline, and he had no right to squander it. Hwang In-ho tried to change his mind, suggesting that even if he chose to end the game and save everyone's lives, when he met other participants on the street in the future, they wouldn't thank him for his decision. Instead, they would blame him for stopping them from having the chance to win the prize money. Since things had come this far, discussing alternatives was pointless. Hwang In-ho expressed his desire to fight alongside Seong Gi-hun. Meanwhile, Lee Myung-gi was harassed by the rapper. Lee Myung-gi had started his own channel to share knowledge about cryptocurrencies. The rapper had followed his advice and invested, resulting in significant losses, and came specifically to vent his anger on Lee Myung-gi. Lee Myung-gi quickly knocked the rapper to the ground until he begged for mercy. Later that night, when everyone was asleep, Hwang In-ho came to Seong Gi-hun's bedside and began to share his own story. His wife was suffering from cirrhosis and needed a liver transplant. During her illness, she unexpectedly became pregnant and insisted on keeping the child. Hwang In-ho had to borrow money from everywhere while searching for a suitable liver. This game was his last hope to get the money needed to save his wife. Seong Gi-hun did not speak, just quietly listened. Suddenly, the second game began. The group confidently followed Seong Gi-hun and chose the simplest shape, the triangle. However, when Seong Gi-hun opened the box, he found the sugar cookie had a complex pattern made of many small triangles, far exceeding their expectations. The participants angrily scolded Seong Gi-hun. Amidst the shouting, Seong Gi-hun suddenly woke up, relieved it was only a dream. The next day, the actual game officially started. The group entered the competition area, which had changed to a team event this time. Everyone quickly formed teams within the allotted time. Seong Gi-hun's team included Hwang In-ho, fellow townsman Kang Dae-ho, and Lee Myung-gi's pregnant girlfriend, making a total of 5 people. The task required all 5 members to tie their legs together and start simultaneously, completing 5 tasks within a set time: drawing pictures, carving stones, collecting pebbles, spinning tops, and kicking shuttlecocks. Successfully completing the tasks would prevent elimination. The first group had 2 teams competing simultaneously. They easily passed the drawing pictures segment. Next was stone carving, where participants needed to knock down a stone monument using rocks. If they failed, they had to collect the stones together and try again. One team spent a lot of time on the stone monument, realizing they couldn't finish the remaining tasks in time. One member even wet his pants in fear. The other team made it to the 4th task, spinning tops, but unfortunately did not succeed. Both teams were ultimately eliminated. The second group of teams then took their turn, including a seemingly timid girl, Cho Hyunju, who had undergone gender reassignment surgery, along with a mother and son, and a mysterious shaman. In the first task of drawing pictures, the girl successfully completed the challenge under Cho Hyunju's guidance. In the second task, the clever Cho Hyunju advised everyone to step back together, saving time on collecting stones. An elderly man, shaking all over, imagined the stone monument as the man who cheated him out of his money and successfully knocked it down. During the stone collecting game, the elderly man was extremely nervous. The shaman cursed loudly next to him, but luckily, Cho Hyunju covered her mouth, calming him down enough to successfully collect all the stones. However, the shaman got the string tangled while spinning the top, nervously wasting a lot of time without success. She muttered about being abandoned by the gods and gave up on the string. Cho Hyunju, frustrated, slapped the shaman, who then snapped back to reality and successfully spun the top. In the last 20 seconds, Cho Hyunju, calm and composed, kicked the shuttlecock 5 times. In the final second, she led her team across the finish line. In subsequent games, some teams advanced smoothly, while others were eliminated. Finally, it was the turn of the team led by Seong Gi-hun and Hwang In-ho. The game started, and Lee Myung-gi's girlfriend completed the drawing task in one go. Seong Gi-hun's fellow townsman, a former Marine, easily toppled the stone monument. Their teammate Kang Dae-ho also excelled, passing the stone collecting task on his first try, causing everyone to burst into laughter. Unexpectedly, Hwang In-ho struggled with spinning the top, using up 4 minutes of their time, leaving only 1 minute remaining. Seong Gi-hun continuously encouraged him, and finally, Hwang In-ho succeeded. In the last half minute, Seong Gi-hun kicked 4 shuttlecocks, and just as he was about to miss the last one, Hwang In-ho extended his foot to help Seong Gi-hun hit it successfully. The team completed the competition and returned to the dormitory, naturally gathering with the people they had teamed up with earlier. Upon seeing Seong Gi-hun and his team win, some people complained that the prize money was significantly reduced. However, a mother and son greeted Seong Gi-hun and his team warmly. After the second game, 110 people were eliminated, increasing the total prize money to 20.1 billion won. If the game were abandoned, each person could receive less than 80 million won. Hearing this amount, there was an uproar among the crowd. Many complained that too few people had died, making the prize money inadequate. The organizers of the competition, well aware of the participants' insatiable greed, had set such rules accordingly. During the voting phase after the game ended, it was clear that most people, burdened by heavy debts and desperate for a turnaround, chose to continue the game. However, those who chose to continue were not only motivated by greed. Some, like Cho Hyunju, had different reasons. Since undergoing gender reassignment surgery, Cho Hyunju had been treated differently by those around him. His parents did not understand him, and he was dismissed from his job. Cho Hyunju hoped to earn more money to live in Thailand, where he would not face discrimination. Tonight was the first night the participants spent together. Based on previous experiences, Seong Gi-hun anticipated that people might turn on each other for more prize money. He specifically requested that team members take turns keeping watch. Surprisingly, the night passed without incident. The next day, everyone followed the people in red to the third competition venue. This game was called Find Your Partner. Participants stood on a giant circular platform in the center of the area. As numbers were announced over the loudspeaker, everyone had 30 seconds to find a team with the same number to successfully enter the opposite room and pass the challenge. As the game began, the carousel started to spin, and a nursery rhyme played. The carousel activated, and the loudspeaker announced a group of 10. Just as the voice finished, the lights suddenly dimmed, and a 30-second countdown began. In the darkness, everyone hurriedly searched for teammates matching the required number to enter the room within the time limit. When the countdown ended, the room doors locked, eliminating those left outside. Later, only 4 people were needed to enter a room. Hwang In-ho voluntarily gave up his spot and ran to find others to form a team. Some rooms ended up with only 3 people, who prayed not to be discovered by the people in red. Unfortunately, they were already locked in and ultimately eliminated. Seong Gi-hun was constantly worried about Hwang In-ho's safety. Seeing him safely emerge from the room finally put his mind at ease. Next was forming groups of 3. A mother and son looked for someone alone. 2 men approached and took the son away, leaving the mother behind. The elderly woman thought she wouldn't survive, but in the last moment, Seong Gi-hun and Hwang In-ho helped her enter the room. Hwang In-ho asked about her son's whereabouts and whether he had abandoned her. The elderly woman defended her son, insisting they had merely been separated. She claimed her child was kind-hearted and would not leave her behind. After surviving, the elderly woman comforted her guilt-ridden son, who swore never to leave her alone again. He tightly held his mother's hand, vowing never to let go. The game continued, and the next team size was 6. The mother and son, along with Kang Dae-ho and others, exactly made up 6. As they entered the room, a girl who had been friendly with Cho Hyun-ju fell. Seeing there wasn't enough time, Lee Myung-gi rushed into the room, leaving the girl outside. It appeared that Lee Myung-gi was responsible for the girl's death. Everyone understood that if Cho Hyun-ju had gone out to help the girl, there wouldn't have been enough time. Instead, it could have resulted in not having enough people and possibly endangering everyone in the room. Now, only 126 participants remained in the game, which was moving into its final round. Hwang In-ho analyzed that the next round might require pairing up. There were 50 rooms available, and with participants needing to form pairs, 26 people would be left over, which was just enough to be eliminated. As expected, the announcement came that participants needed to form pairs. Hwang In-ho and a fellow townsman entered a room, but unfortunately there was already a man inside. With others still knocking on the door, Hwang In-ho had no choice but to eliminate the man to secure their completion of the game. This incident left his townsmen standing in shock. The day's games ended, and it was time for voting. With only 100 people left, the vote count to end the game stood at 49 before Hwang In-ho voted. As Hwang In-ho stepped forward, his townsman, remembering his ruthless actions, was about to reveal the truth to Seong Gi-hun and Kang Dae-ho. However, he saw Hwang In-ho vote to end the game, resulting in a tie. According to the agreement all participants had signed, a tie meant that voting would be repeated the next day. Later, Seong Gi-hun asked his townsman about the unfinished statement. The townsman, looking at Hwang In-ho in the distance, did not reveal his murderous side to Seong Gi-hun. To win in tomorrow's vote, they needed to win over people from the opposing camp. Both camps tried to persuade each other, but Seong Gi-hun sat alone, opening a tin foil containing a rice ball meal with a fork inside. He instantly understood that this was a setup to incite them to turn on each other. Having fewer people in the opposing camp would benefit their own side. Seong Gi-hun was right. Inside the men's restroom, members from different camps fought each other. After returning to the dormitory, both camps counted their casualties. 5 people had died. 2 people from Seong Gi-hun's camp, which supported ending the game, were among the deceased. It was clear that the opposing camp had fewer members. If the situation remained the same, everyone could end the game tomorrow and leave this hellish place. Seong Gi-hun sat with a few familiar faces to strategize. Lights out and rest time were approaching, and it was likely that the opposing camp would initiate an attack. Hwang In-ho suggested they strike first, but Seong Gi-hun disagreed. They shouldn't turn on each other but should unite to confront the creators of the game. He knew that the people controlling the game and their equipment were upstairs, and a mysterious person in a black mask was their leader. They needed to capture this leader to ultimately win. Seong Gi-hun laid out his plan in detail. They would return to their beds and once the lights were out, silently move under them. No matter what happened outside, they must not get involved in any fights. Based on his experience, to ensure enough participants made it to the next round, the people in red would time their intervention to clean up the scene and check the fallen participants. During this, a few who pretended to be dead would seize the weapons of the people in red, engage them in a gunfight, successfully repel them, and capture one of them. Cho Hyun-ju and Ah Seok were responsible for collecting the guns and magazines. Cho Hyun-ju used a gun to destroy the surveillance in the dormitory. After collecting the weapons, Seong Gi-hun called on the men present to join him. Together, they headed upstairs to capture the mysterious masked person. The elderly woman stopped her son from rushing forward, not wanting him to be in danger. Seeing no one else joining, others picked up radios and weapons, ready to follow Seong Gi-hun upstairs. Cho Hyun-ju, a former Special Forces sergeant who was present, volunteered to teach everyone how to change magazines and how to shoot in single or burst modes. Once prepared, Seong Gi-hun ordered the captive to remove his mask and lead them to the mysterious leader. Seong Gi-hun had the captive guide them to the central control room. Along the way, they advanced amid gunfire, reaching a corridor. However, the guards' firepower was too strong, forcing Seong Gi-hun and his townsmen to head for the control room while the others stayed behind to exchange fire. The pair managed to kill many guards, replenishing their ammunition from the guards' bodies when needed. Soon, they reached the staircase leading to the control room, but were blocked by numerous guards. Meanwhile, those left behind gradually ran out of ammunition. Hwang In-ho took 2 people to support Seong Gi-hun. Kang Dae-ho went to collect magazines from the bodies in the dormitory. After collecting the magazines, Kang Dae-ho hesitated at the crucial moment, threw down his radio, and returned to the dormitory. A while later, Kang Dae-ho had still not appeared, so Cho Hyun-ju went to the dormitory, found him, grabbed the magazines, and was about to go support the others when a group of guards stormed the dormitory and surrounded the participants. Hwang In-ho, who had gone to support Seong Gi-hun, lied about attacking the guards from behind. Upon reaching a corner, he claimed he had been shot, then turned off his radio and switched to the guards' channel to order the suppression of the rebels. As the rebellious participants were out of ammunition, they chose to surrender but were ruthlessly eliminated by the guards. Meanwhile, Hwang In-ho donned a black outfit, confronted Seong Gi-hun, taunted him about the cost of playing the hero, then eliminated his townsmen before walking away. Seong Gi-hun struggled in agony. In the end, he was unable to save the participants or end the relentless killing game.